So Hare Krishna. So welcome all of you to this Bhagavad Gita class, L2 Bhagavad Gita class. And today we'll be continuing with chapter 3 from Shloka 30. So yesterday we stopped at 29. And yesterday we saw what is the main difference between a Karma Kandi and a Nishkama Karma Yoga. And Krishna finally says that Arjuna, though you are a person that is worth to do sannyas, you can take karma sannyas, but for the sake of setting a good example, you being a grihastha and a kshatriya, do your prescribed duty for me. Okay, do all your duties for me without any expectation of results. That is the highest yoga. That is bhakti yoga. Okay, so let's continue further, like what Krishna is saying still in Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, so let's see from Shloka 30. Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasyadyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvara. So translation, therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Okay, so now from 32 to 30, Shloka 30 to 32, Krishna tells Arjuna, on my advice, you follow Nishkama Karma Yoga in your life. Okay, if you follow Nishkama Karma Yoga, what are the benefits you will get? Okay, so we all may think, what is the benefit we get if we do Nishkama Karma Yoga? Okay, if we do selfless work with no expectation of results, just for the satisfaction of Krishna, what do we get? Okay, so that is what Krishna is telling in Shloka number 30. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, on my advice, you do selfless work without expectation of results, just for the satisfaction of Krishna. So don't say, like just to satisfy the senses of Krishna. Don't say, I'm doing it for my sake, my sense enjoyment. No. Okay, so Krishna is saying, do it for my happiness, for my sense gratification. So you fight. So you leave all your laziness, lethargy, and get ready to fight. Okay, so in the next shlokas, we will see what is the benefit we get by following Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay. So here in the purport, Prabhupada says, Adhyatma Chetas is a fully Krishna conscious person. So Nirashi means that one has to act on the order of the master, but should not expect fruitive results. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. So you should do your duty as prescribed by the Shastras for the satisfaction of Krishna with no expectation of results. Nirmama, not claiming proprietorship over anything. Okay. So you have no expectation over the results. You don't say that this is mine, that is mine. We know that the devotees know that everything belongs to Krishna, and we use everything that is available in the material world in the service of the Lord. Vigata Jwara. So throw off the reluctance, lethargy. So Arjuna was not willing to fight, right? He was showing laziness. He's showing more interest in going to the forest and just sitting and meditating and live by begging. So Krishna is saying, leave that lethargy, laziness, Vigata Jwara. So throw off the reluctance to execute a stern order without feverish mentality or lethargy. This will lead one to the path of liberation. See, only through Nishkama Karma Yoga can you come to the path of liberation, because when you work for Krishna, you are free from bondage. So you have no karma, you become akarma. So when there is no karma, neither good nor bad, there is no necessity for you to come back into this material world. So you get liberated because you perform akarma, you do akarma, and you go back to the kingdom of God. Okay. So text 30. So that this is what is described. Okay. See, surrender all your work unto me. So Krishna is telling, perform your duties for my sake. Okay, to satisfy my senses with full knowledge of me. So that is what any duty that we do in this material world, we have to do it with knowledge of Krishna. If, for instance, you're cooking for Krishna, do it with full concentration. Okay, I am doing it to please the Lord. So, how much full attention that you must put all your focus you should put on cooking, because you're cooking it for the Lord of the universe. Okay, so focus. Don't think that, oh, I have to cook so well that I have to eat, not for your sense gratification. Keeping Krishna in mind with full knowledge of me without desires for profit. So don't expect any results. Okay, with no claim of proprietorship. Don't say that this is mine, this belongs to me, this is mine, I want this, I want that. Okay, free from lethargy, is telling Arjuna, fight. So with all these, surrendering unto me, with no full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claim of proprietorship, Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight, do his duty. Okay, so 31. Ye me matam idam nityam anutishtanti manavaha shraddhavanto anusuyanto muchyante api karmabihi. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. So now Krishna is telling what is the benefit you get by following Nishkama Karma Yoga. Okay, so if we follow Nishkama Karma Yoga in Shloka 31, Krishna is telling with faith. Okay, with faith, we all join Krishna consciousness because we have little faith in Lord Krishna, right? So with little faith, that faith is enough. And no envy. Okay, why no envy? See, the difference why Arjuna could understand the Bhagavad Gita and why Duryodhana or Dhritarashtra couldn't understand the Bhagavad Gita is, this is the only reason. Because Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they had envy for Krishna. So they couldn't understand the Bhagavad Gita. They were like, oh, why? I mean, like, even if they understood, because they were so attached to all these material relationships, that they didn't understand the Bhagavad Gita. The main reason is they had envy towards Krishna. Okay, both of them, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they had envy towards Krishna. That is why they couldn't understand the Bhagavad Gita. But Arjuna was free from envy. That's why Krishna says, you are free from envy. That is why I'm giving this confidential knowledge, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to you. Okay, so that's why they are saying without envy. Krishna is saying without envy. Okay, then we get liberated from this material world. Okay, so only way we can get liberated from this material world is through Nishkama Karma Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. See, even if you do Karma Kanda, no, you will, though, I mean, like, you may get some pious credit, you may go to heavenly planets until your pious credit is there. Your pious credit is over, you have to come back again to this material world. You have to take birth in this material world, which is full of miseries. So there is no chance of liberation. So you'll be stuck up in this world of, in a cycle of birth and death. So it continues like that. If you do sinful activities, you go to hell. And after you finish all that hellish punishment, again you have to take birth in the earthly planet. Either ways, you have to come to the earthly planet, which is full of miseries, and you continue the cycle of birth and death. But the only way you can get liberated is Krishna is giving the benefit of Nishkama Karma Yoga. You get liberated from this material world and you go to the spiritual world. That is, you go back to Godhead. Okay, so we get free from the cycle of birth, death, old age, disease, and we can go back to Godhead. Okay, so now let's go to, see, we can see it in the right hand side, right? How a devotee is always like, he's doing Nishkama Karma Yoga. He does everything for the satisfaction of Krishna with no expectation of results. Okay, Prabhupada says in the purport that faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord are very important for liberation from karma bondage. Okay, so we should have faith in the instructions of the Lord. Okay, that is very important. So what is Krishna saying in the Bhagavad Gita? That is important for us. Okay, because it has come from the lotus mouth of the Lord himself. Even an ordinary man unable to execute such orders becomes liberated. Okay, so if any person, even if he's an ordinary person, if he does this Nishkama Karma Yoga, he gets liberated. Okay, in the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of God. He is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat. See, initially, all of us, we don't come to Krishna consciousness with the intention of serving the Lord, pleasing the Lord. So initially we come with some desires like karma kandas. To satisfy our desires, we come to the Lord. Krishna, I will do this for you. You please do this for me. Okay, so they're saying that's okay, you come. But either ways, you come to Krishna. Even if you have desires, you come to Krishna. No problem. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay. But what will happen eventually? You will be sure to be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. So gradually, as you do bhakti, slowly, you get purified, and then you come to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. And several philosophers write comments on the Bhagavad Gita with no faith in Krishna. So we see why Prabhupada has written Bhagavad Gita as it is. When there were so many Bhagavad Gitas, they were like around 80 to 90 or more. I don't know how much, what is the count, but there were already many versions of the Bhagavad Gita. But why Prabhupada wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is? Because when he read all those Bhagavad Gita, he could see it was not as it is delivered by Lord Krishna. He could see there were additions. They put their own beliefs. Okay, so what is the use if a material man puts his beliefs in the Bhagavad Gita? How can a person change the instructions of Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Father, who is the Supreme Guru? Okay, and after all, we are all material persons. We have four defects. Okay, we have four defects which are like we have a tendency to cheat. We are under illusion. We make mistakes. Our our senses are inaccurate. So we have all these defects. What right do we have to change the instructions given by Lord? Who is the Supreme Guru? So that is the reason Prabhupada named his Bhagavad Gita as it is, because it is as it is given by Krishna. It has come from that Guru Parampara. As it is told, I mean, like from Krishna to Brahma, Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyasa Muni, and so on till Prabhupada. They did not make any changes. It has come as it is from Krishna. It is just passed on in that disciplic succession. That's it. There are no additions and reductions. Prabhupada says, I'm just like a postman. See what a postman does? He just delivers the message as it is. He doesn't change what is the, if the message is sad, he doesn't change the message to something happy. And if it is happy, he doesn't change it to something sad. He doesn't do that. He just delivers the message as it is, whatever be the reason, be sad or happy. That is what Prabhupada is saying. We deliver the message of Krishna through the disciplic succession as it is. We don't change anything. Okay, so that's what it is said. Several philosophers write comments on the Bhagavad Gita, but they have no faith in Krishna. Because they have no faith in Krishna, that is the reason they change. If they had faith in Krishna, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would never dare to even change anything. Okay, so they will never be liberated. Such people, who have no faith in Krishna, who envy Krishna, they will never be liberated from this material world. Okay, so they will be always attached to the fruits of their action, and they will be going through this repeated cycle of birth and death. Okay, so now let's see shloka number 32. Yetu etad abhyasayanto nanu tishtanti me matam sarvagnana vimudham stan vidhi nashtan achetasaham. Translation. But those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. Okay, now Krishna is telling, in the earlier shloka he said, those who follow my advice and follow Nishkama Karma, what is the benefit? Now, those who don't follow, what is their, what will happen to them? Okay, so Krishna tells here what happens to those who don't take his advice and follow Nishkama Karma Yoga. So they have envy. See, we said, right? Those who have no envy can understand Krishna very well. And they can understand, they follow the instructions of Krishna. But those who are envious, they don't take to the instructions of Krishna because they are envious of Krishna. They'll say, why should I listen to Krishna? I won't listen. I will do whatever I want to. Okay, so for such people, there is no hope of perfection in this life. Okay, so whatever work he does, it leads to destruction. So how much ever hard work he may do, it just goes in vain. It just goes waste. Okay, so now Krishna, he tells in 34, 1 second. Yeah, now Krishna tells in shloka number 33, 34, 35, according to your swabhava, you have to do your dharma. I mean, swabhava in the sense your modes of nature. Whether depending on like if you are in sattva if that is your swabhava, you have to do following the principles of that. You have to do your prescribed duty. If you are a rajaguna, you have to do your duty pertaining to that. If you are a tamoguna, you have to do duty per that. So that is what they are saying here. So Krishna will tell us like what. So you have to, according to your swabhava, you have to do your dharma and activities. Okay, so why is Krishna saying this? Because in the beginning, Arjuna says, I don't want to fight with my relatives. Rather, what did he say? He wants to go into the forest and live by begging. So, generally, who does begging? Okay, who does begging? The brahmacharis and the sannyasis, they do begging. So they go begging 1 or 2 days, 2 hours in a day. Okay, they gather all the ingredients that are required for cooking and they give it to their guru. Okay, remaining time, what do they do? These brahmacharis and sannyasis, what do they do? They study shastras. Okay, that is their main duty. Okay, so why is it that the sannyasis go for begging? The main reason why do they go to a grihasta's house and they do begging? Why do they beg alms? Okay, first and foremost reason is anyway they get food, whatever articles they need for cooking, they get that. Okay, and the main thing is why they go to the grihastas is to enlighten them spiritually. Okay, they are grihasthas, they're so much attached to this material life and sense enjoyment that they forget about God. Okay, these sannyasis and brahmacharis, in the name of begging, they go there and they enlighten them spiritually. They talk to them about God. They give the teachings of God. Okay, so just to enlighten them spiritually, that is their main thing. They go preaching door to door to every grihastha every day. Okay, so besides this, they have no other work. The main duty is to preach to everybody, to whomever they see, they preach Krishna consciousness. That is their main intention. Okay. So because so this is the only important task, preaching to the grahastas, which is very important. Okay. And at the same time, they need some food to maintain their body, which they anyway get when they go to the grihastha's house. Obviously, when they enlighten, they give something in exchange to great personalities, great souls who always are meditating on God. Okay, so they get the food by that process itself. Okay, but preaching Krishna consciousness is their main duty. So, but many people, they take advantage of this process. So they don't do any work. They just live by begging. Okay, and carry on their life. They think, oh, I don't have to work hard. Just if I go to some house, if I just wear a sannyasi garb and I just take and I go to their house and ask for Bhiksha, Bhikshan Dehi, they think that I'm a great sannyasi. If they give me something, I will bless them. And they take advantage of this and they just, they don't want to work hard. It's easy food, right? They don't have to struggle and anything. So they just cheat the grihastas. I mean, like, by just putting on a sannyasi garb and they just go and beg for food. So this is not prescribed actually, but this is what is happening in the Kali Yuga. Okay. So our shastras say who should live by begging. Okay, it is actually these sannyasis and brahmacharis who do preaching. Their main purpose is to preach Krishna consciousness to the grihastha. Okay, so that is the main purpose why they go there to the grihastha's house. Literally, they don't want, I mean, like, anyways, they get food, but that is not their main intention. They want to cultivate Krishna consciousness in them. So that is why they go. And in return for that, they get this food, I mean, like food particles required for cooking. Okay. Hare Krishna, is everybody able to hear me?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, so here Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna, per your swabhava, you are a kshatriya. Okay, you have to fight. You should not go against your swabhava and go for begging. Okay, so a kshatriya never begs. Okay, yeah, I mean, like, it's not his swabhava, because he, being a rajoguna, he is in the mode of passion. Okay, he cannot go for begging. Maybe initially he may think that, oh, I can just live by begging, but being a kshatriya, he cannot, because he's in the mode of passion. He has that passionate thing I mean, like, he cannot beg. If someone scolds him, like, he may get angry and he may take his sword out and he say, how dare you? I'm a king. How dare you say that you can't give, and you scold me? Okay, so it's not a swabhava. So that's what Krishna is saying. Since you are a kshatriya, your swabhava is rajoguna. So you're passionate. So you're designed to fight, protect the people. So you have to fight. You are not designated to go to the forest and live a life of begging. Okay, and that's what they're saying. Prabhupada says that if Arjuna goes for begging, and someone may, if he goes and asks Bhikshandehi, and someone scolds like this, Arjuna may get angry. Okay, he may take out his knife and he may kill him. So because that's what Krishna is telling, because that is your swabhava. Your swabhava is rajoguna. So as a rajoguna, you're very passionate, you get angry. So you cannot hide or kill your swabhava. See, even though you're begging, you have changed from a kshatriya to a karma sannyas, and you're doing bhikshatana, you're begging. Still, you can't hide your swabhava. Your swabhava is still your rajoguna. You have not changed to sattva guna. So you can't hide or kill your swabhava. So you can't live by begging. Okay. So we may see other people and think, um, generally we also think, right, we see other people and we think, oh, he's earning so nicely, his job is so nice, he's so cool. I mean, like, he just goes and he works only from 9 to 5 and he gets so much of money. So how I wish I could perform his job and earn money like him. Okay, it would be better for me also if I go and I also do his work. But you should know that that work, if it doesn't suit our swabhava, okay, then it is difficult. It may look easy in the beginning. We may think, okay, he's doing it, why I cannot do it? But if it does not fit our swabhava, okay, then we cannot do it. Initially, we may do it for a few days, but we cannot continue it in the long run, because that is not our swabhava. Okay, we don't belong to that mode of nature, either sattva guna or rajoguna or tamaguna, whatever our mode is. So it is always better we stick to our guna, whatever guna we are, rather than changing to some other person's swabhava, though it may sound interesting for us. Okay, so we may not be able to do it for a long time. So after some time, we will think our earlier job was better because it suits our swabhava. Okay, so we should not try to imitate others. Okay, so Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. This swabhava of ours is coming to us from many janmas. It's not like you are a rajogunit just now, just one day before or just now. So the swabhava is coming to you from many janmas. Okay. So when the body dies, what happens along with the soul? The subtle body is there, right? Soul and subtle body, they go into the next body, right? It's just not the soul, the Paramatma, the Atma, Paramatma, and the subtle body, all the three of them go. It's not just the soul and the Paramatma that go. Okay, the subtle body. And what does the subtle body consist of? Mind, intelligence, and false ego. So all from many janmas, they keep all whatever experiences that you have been doing, they all get updated depending on your swabhava. So it's not that the swabhava has just come to you now. It is being coming from many janmas. It is stored in your subtle body in the form of mind intelligence. Okay, it never goes away. Okay, so we don't know how the mind intelligence false ego is. How it is changing, we don't know. Depending on our janma, it keeps changing. So we don't know how what our swabhava is at what time. Okay, so they are the swabhava is there from many janmas. Okay, that is why I mean, like, and to suddenly change the swabhava is very difficult. Okay, suppose you have been rajoguna till now, and suddenly you want to change to sattva guna. It is so difficult. Though you may think it is so easy for when you see a person in sattva guna performing some task, it may look easy for you in the beginning, but in the long run you will not be able to do, because your swabhava is rajoguna. You cannot do continuously for the whole lifetime what a sattva guna person is doing. Okay, so that is why Krishna is saying we have to work according to our swabhava. So Krishna is telling this to Arjuna. Okay, so now let's go to the next shloka. 34. Indriyasyandriyasyarthe ragadveshau vyavastitau tayornavasham agache tauhi asya paripantinau. Okay, so translation. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So Krishna is saying, how much ever knowledge or intelligence a man has, he has to act according to his swabhava. Okay. Okay, so Krishna is telling Arjuna here that there are some principles to control attachment and hatred. Okay, so what are those? Okay, how we can get detached and how we can control our anger. There are some principles Krishna is telling here. Okay, how to control, how to be detached from the senses and their objects, and how to prevent hatred from these at the same time. Okay, so we should not become slaves of raga and dvesha. What happens if we become slaves? We cannot move forward on our path of bhakti. So we cannot perform nishkama karma yoga. So these two, what? Attachment and aversion, they create obstacles on our path of bhakti. Why? Because we are conditioned in this material world, and we have some conditionings. We have some faults, raga and dvesha. So some of the faults are raga and dvesha. So how we can overcome them? So Krishna is telling, by following some principles. So that is why when we are practicing bhakti also, why is it we follow rules and regulations? Okay, we should do this. So we follow rules and regulations, we go forward in bhakti. Okay, we purify ourselves, we move forward on the path of bhakti. That is why here also Krishna is saying, to get detached and free from aversion, you have to follow some principles. Okay, generally people say, what is the need for following all these rules and regulations if we have faith in God and all these things? They say no need of following. We can eat onion garlic, we can drink tea, coffee, we can do everything. There is, like, no restriction of food. No, you can do anything you want, but you can do bhakti also at the same time. No, that is not possible. So it is said in the Shastras, if you follow only some rules and regulations, some restrictions, some conditions, there are chances. It's like if you go to a doctor, you're not feeling well, you have cold. It's not the medicine only that will help you recover. It is your diet also that will help you recover, right? So both are needed. So similarly here also, following rules and regulations is also important to progress in bhakti. Okay. Okay. So that is why we follow in bhakti also, we follow some rules and regulations. So we should follow some principles. So here they are saying we have to, regulate our swabhava. See, because why we have to follow these principles? Because see, when we come to bhakti, we may be in what you say, tamoguna. Okay, so we want to change our swabhava, tamoguna to sattva-guna. So is it possible all of a sudden? No, right? So that is why to change our swabhava, we have to follow some rules and regulations which help us to move forward in bhakti. Otherwise, it is very difficult for us to follow, to progress in our bhakti. So that is why we have to follow these rules and regulations to change our swabhava. We told, right, from many janmas, we are getting one swabhava. It is not easy for us to change our swabhava. So initially, when we are on a path of bhakti, we have to follow, even though we find it difficult, we have to follow some rules and regulations. Okay, so that slowly on a path of bhakti, our swabhava might change. And one fine day, we will come to that path on the sattva-guna. We reach the mode of goodness, from mode of ignorance or passion to sattva-guna. So that is why these principles, to follow these principles is important. Okay, it's not, I mean, like, we don't say that the whole will totally go away. I mean, like, your rajoguna, tamaguna will totally go away. It will be there, but there will be a change. But if you want it to totally go, it is totally dependent on the mercy of the Lord and mercy of the pure devotee. Only then can we get totally purified. Totally we can come into that Shuddha Sattva stage. Otherwise, it is very difficult. It will take a long time. And even then, totally it will not be eradicated. Okay? If you want it to completely go, if you want all your anarthas to go away, then the only possible way is the mercy of the Lord or mercy of a pure devotee. Okay, so that is why Krishna is telling we have to follow our dharma. Okay, our swabhava. And what is our dharma? A prescribed duty is given in the Shastras. Okay, per swabhava, we have to do what is given in the Shastras. Per our guna, we have to execute that. So maybe we are a Kshatriya. So in the Shastra, it is mentioned what we have to do. So we do that. We follow the prescribed duties. That is our dharma, right? Okay. So following our dharma, if we do bhakti, slowly what will happen? Our anarthas will reduce. Okay. We get purified. Okay. That is why we have to follow some principles. Okay. So now let's see in the next shloka. So unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement, but one who follows the rules and regulations of the revealed scriptures does not become entangled by these sense objects. In fact, they get purified. So that is what we saw, right? If we perform our prescribed duties per the Shastras, that is considered as a yagna. Okay, so we get purified as we do our duties, our dharma if we do. Okay, we don't get entangled in this material world. Okay, one has to follow those rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray, as much as there is always the chance of an accident even on the royal roads. So even sometimes, you do sense gratification also. I mean, here they're saying one has to follow the rules and regulations unattached. That is why we have to follow rules and regulations. Okay, so that we don't get diverted from our path of bhakti. Okay, so the whole purpose of detachment from all kinds of sense attachment is ultimately to become situated in the platform of Krishna consciousness. So why do we want to get detached from sense attachment? Okay, the whole why do we want to get detached? Because we want to get attached to Krishna. So we are from many janmas, we are attached to these material objects. So we totally forgot Krishna. So if we want to, I mean, like, this is like a temporary place. We are a guest in this material world and we want to go back home back to Krishna, back to Godhead. Okay, so we are meant to be there. So only if we get detached to this material sense enjoyment, can we get attached to Krishna. So how can we do that? Only if we get a higher taste. Okay, how do we get a higher taste? When we get attached to devotees who tell us what is what, who tell us what is the goal of life. We don't know what the goal of life is. Okay, so we think that the material sense enjoyment, sense gratification is the goal of life, and we think that itself is perfection of life. So we don't know that this human life, this rare human life is God, so that we have, it's not for sense gratification. We have to do tapasya and go back to Godhead. That is why we've got this human body. Okay, so tapasya means what? We get detached from all these material things, right? So then only can we, when we get vairagya, then only we are more strong in Krishna consciousness. Okay. Okay, next 35, shloka number 35. Shreyan swadharmo viguna para dharmat su anushtitat swadharme nidhanam shreyaha paradharmo bhayavaha. Okay, so it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's duty, one's own duty, is better than engaging in another's duty. For to follow another's path is dangerous. Okay, so here Krishna is telling, don't do paradharma. Okay, so you don't do others' duties perfectly. Okay, you do your swadharma. That is shreya. That is better for you. So you may think, I can do that dharma better, but you can't. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example. Okay, those who have more sattva qualities, they become a brahmana, right? Those who are sattvic, they're in the mode of goodness, they become brahmana. Those are more in rajoguna, they become kshatriya, right? So brahmana is non-violent. Okay, so that is his swabhava. So he practices ahimsa. Okay, that is good for him. It suits him also. But a kshatriya has rajoguna. His duty is he has to punish or kill enemies in war to establish dharma. He has to kill them. So for him, himsa is needed. Okay, ahimsa is not needed for him. He can't go to the war and punish any. He can't say, Arjuna can't go and say that, oh, I'm following ahimsa, I won't kill you and leave the criminals. Then the world will become full of criminals. He can't do that. He being a kshatriya, his swabhava is more in rajoguna. So what he can do is, he cannot practice ahimsa. He cannot just go peacefully and say, I will forgive you, now you can go, I will not kill you. No, he will punish him. Okay, because he's in the mode of Rajoguna and it is duty to establish Dharma. For that, Himsa is needed. Ahimsa is not needed for him. Okay, so depending on their Swabhava, the duties also vary. Okay, if a Kshatriya thinks this Brahmana is so peacefully sitting, he's always meditating, he's doing puja, and he only studies the scriptures, and then after studying the scriptures, he does preaching. So, like this, if he thinks his life is peaceful, but he thinks that his job is difficult, his duty is difficult, he thinks, oh, I'm fighting in so many wars, I'm ruling the kingdom, so my job, my duty is so difficult. Then he will think that I can do the job of a Brahmana very easily. Okay, so he thinks, what is so great about it? He's just sitting, oh, I can do it easily. He's just sitting there peacefully, he's meditating, he's doing puja, he's worshipping, he's studying the Shastras. It is so easy. Why? I cannot do it. It's such so easy. What's so great about it? But he cannot do it because a Kshatriya can never do the work of a Brahmana, because Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, Kshatriya is in the mode of Rajas. So there's a lot of difference. They think looking it looks easy, but they cannot do it. Okay, to just to see for a Kshatriya it will be easy. Okay, he's just sitting there meditating, doing puja, studying, preaching, doing yajnas, everything. What is so great about it? It is so easy, he thinks. But a Kshatriya, he cannot do it. But yeah, he can do it, but he'll do it for some time. Okay, but after some time, he can't do it. Per his Swabhava, he is more into Rajoguna. Okay. At the same time, now, if you see a Brahmana, he is in Sattva Guna. Okay. He can peacefully sit for a long time, do puja, meditate, study, and preach. Okay. So similarly, that's what I'm trying to say. A Kshatriya also, he can also do for some time, but after some time he can't do because his Swabhava is more of Rajoguna and not Sattva Guna. So that is why in ISKCON also we see, right, there are many sevas. Prabhupada has introduced many sevas para Swabhava. Okay, some for Sattva Guna, some for Rajoguna, and obviously Tamaguna, they are lazy and they don't come, do any seva, first of all. Okay. So even for a Brahmana, it is difficult, okay, to do the duty of a Kshatriya. Okay, it is not his Swabhava. So the Brahmana understands he cannot kill or punish a person who has done something wrong. What if someone is punished and they bring him to a Brahmana, what will he do? Will he punish him or will he kill him? No, right? He will forgive him because he is in the mode of goodness. He will forgive him. He will give one more chance. Okay, because his Swabhava is in the mode of goodness. So that is why it doesn't suit him to be a Kshatriya. He cannot work as a Kshatriya. So a Brahmana is a Brahmana, Kshatriya is a Kshatriya. Okay, their Swabhavas are different. So that is why everyone's Swabhava is different. Okay, so we should know our Swabhava and act accordingly. So, accordingly in the sense we should perform our duties per our Swabhava. But as we progress in bhakti and we become pure devotees, then we transcend the three modes. We come above these three modes. That is, we come to the Shuddha Sattva. Okay, so then we can do any seva at that problem. Okay, we won't have any problem. So on the Shuddha Sattva stage, we are more than a Brahmana. We become a Vaishnava, pure devotee. I mean, where we don't distinguish between any of the gunas. We are not affected by the gunas. Like it's not that now. See, in the material platform, maybe because according to our gunas, we have to do seva. Okay, but once you transcend the three modes, you're above these three modes, you can do any seva you want. There are no restrictions because you are no longer in touch with the modes. You're above the modes. So you are fit to do any duty, be it Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahmana, any seva you can do. Okay, this is because they've become a Vaishnava and Vaishnava can do any kind of seva. He's more than a Brahmana, Vaishnava. Okay. Okay, so but when he, example, you can take Vishwamitra. Okay, so Vishwamitra, he was a Kshatriya, he's a king. But when he understood Brahmanas are more powerful than Kshatriyas, then he decided to become a Brahmana. So we saw how Brahmanas are powerful. I'm not sure whether you've heard of the story. It comes in Srimad Bhagavatam, how King Vena, after the sages and the sadhus, they tell him to do your duty as a king in a dharmic way. King Vena, he doesn't change his ways. He does all dharmic activities, because of which the sages and the sadhus, they had to punish him, they had to kill him. Just by some mantras, they could kill the King Vena. Okay, so they are so powerful. So because of this, when Vishwamitra came to know how powerful Brahmanas are more powerful than kings, so he decided to become a Brahmana. So Vishwamitra, he did tapas for many years, many years. He failed. Again, he did tapas. Like that, he did for thousands and thousands of years. He did tapas. Okay. And finally, and after doing, failing, doing tapas for thousands and thousands of years, finally he became a Brahmana. Okay, so you can see in the picture top, right? How Vishwamitra in sannyas robes is there, you can see, right? Okay, so he got and after that, when he became a Brahmana, he got the opportunity to become a guru to Lord Rama. Okay, and because of him only, he took Lord Rama to the Swayamvara of Sita, and the intervention of Dasharatha and the marriage of Lord Ram and Sita took place. Okay, so Vishwamitra, through his hard work, his severe austerity, Okay, he reached that stage. So that is required for human life, not sense gratification. The human life is not to enjoy like cats, dogs, pigs, do sense gratification. So we have to control, and we have to perform tapas, like we see in the example of Vishwamitra. He also failed many times, but still he, with the determination, he performed his work. He performed his duty with severe austerity. And then finally he attained perfection. He became a Brahmana and he reached that stage. At the highest stage, he became a Vaishnava. Okay. So afterwards, then he became a bhakta. I mean, like he practiced bhakti and then he became a pure devotee. Okay. So like this, after he became a devotee, he could transfer from a kshatriya to a, he transferred his kshatriya swabhava to a brahmana swabhava. Okay, so this is one example. Only when we can change the swabhava is when we reach that, when we transcend these three modes, become a pure devotee, a Vaishnava, then there is a chance when we practice bhakti at that stage, like we can change our swabhava. But as long as we are in this material world, we stick to our swabhava and at the same time we do our bhakti. Okay, slowly, 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 we come to the stage of a pure devotee, like how Vishwamitra has come. Then probably, otherwise, in this material world, if you totally want to transcend, it's only possible by the mercy of Lord Krishna or a mercy of a pure devotee. By our endeavor, generally, it doesn't happen. Okay. So similarly, one more example you can see in the picture, right? Parushrama also. He was actually born in a Brahmin family. He's he's anyway a Shaktyavesh avatara of the Lord, but he also, he too transcended. Initially, he was born in a Brahmana family. Then he too, he transcended the modes, the three modes. He became above the three modes and he became a Kshatriya. He changed from a Brahman Swabhava to a Kshatriya Swabhava. So after he became a Kshatriya, he saw that the kings are not following the Dharma. Okay, not respecting Brahmanas. Okay, then he alone killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas. Okay, because of this. Because they were adharmic and they were not giving respect to the Brahmanas. He killed 21, he alone killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas. Okay. So it is possible for them because they have reached that stage. Okay, that Shuddha Sattva stage. They've transcended the three modes. That is why they could change their swabhava. So for common people or conditioned souls, it is not possible. So common people should do bhakti, seva and their duties according to their swabhava. So as told earlier, this swabhava has developed not just today or yesterday. It has been developed from many janmas and it is not easy for us to change in one day. So we should not think, array, this person, we generally see many people telling like this, array, this person has come into bhakti and there is no change in his swabhava. He's still behaving the same. No change after coming into bhakti also. Yeah, it will take time. Remember this. Please remember this. It will take time. Okay. So it will take a lot of time. It's not that one day you become a pure devotee. We don't know how many anarthas are there, how much time it will take. We don't know. So we cannot judge anybody. Okay. See, if you go to a hospital, each patient is on a different level of disease. Okay, one may be in the first stage, second stage. So first stage patient gets cured fast and he goes out of the hospital. Second stage may take some more time. Third stage, even more time. Fourth stage, even more time. So it depends. So we cannot judge. So it will definitely take time. We should not think that, oh, this person has been in bhakti for so much time. Still, there is no change in him. No, not like that. It will take time. It will take a lot of time. Okay. So, but we have to make sure that we follow these rules and regulations and do bhakti. Then slowly our swabhava will change. Okay. So after a few years, you'll notice, like for instance, you've been practicing bhakti for 5 years, you will notice how you were 5 years ago and how you are now. Okay, so it's like how your behavior was before you came to bhakti and after you came into bhakti. So you yourself will notice a lot of change in you. Okay, so you can see that. So your swabhava will change slowly, but not. No, I'm sorry. No. One second. I'm so sorry, so sorry. Okay. So, so a swabhava will not change, will change slowly, but not overnight. Okay. So in bhakti also, so we cannot become a pure devotee in just one day. Okay. Slowly, slowly practicing, we get, when we follow the rules and regulations, we get purified and there is a chance for us to progress in bhakti. And the only other special cases where we can become pure devotees in one day is only if we have the mercy of the Lord or mercy of a pure devotee. That is a very rare case. That's a special case. Okay. So normally it will take time. A lot of time it will take. Okay. So bhakti is gradual. So slowly, step by step, we grow. So please don't expect anybody who has come to the process of bhakti yoga and been for some time, don't expect that, oh, he's still in bhakti, he didn't change. Why? What is this? Don't think like that. It will take time. Each will have, because each is in a different stage, right? It will take time for sure. Okay. So patiently, we have to practice sadhana bhakti, that is with rules and regulations, and move forward in a bhakti. Okay, so here these are the points of the from the purport of Prabhupada. For a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. We discussed this. So everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. So how can we cleanse our heart slowly? By following these rules and regulations. And what is given, we have to do our prescribed duties, what is given in the Shastras. Okay. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, see, then he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. See, when when he comes to, when he transcends the three modes, and he can change his swabhava at that time because he's not affected by any modes of nature. Now he's above the modes. So he can do the seva of a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, anybody seva, anything he can do, any seva he can do when he transcends the modes. So in that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana. See, that is what we discussed. So that stage, when he's on that Shuddha Sattva stage, he's become a Vaishnava, pure devotee. So he can perform. He can do Krishna conscious. A Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. We saw those two examples, right? Parashurama and Vishwamitra. So they can do anything. Okay. In the transcendental stage, the distinction of the material world do not apply. So the restrictions of the material things don't apply, because when we are here in the material world, we are driven by these gunas. So we do seva per the guna. But when we transcend these modes, we don't have to follow any more these rules. These rules and restrictions are not there. They can do anything. Okay, so for example, we saw Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on he acted as a Brahmana. Whereas Parashurama, he was a Brahmana initially, but later on he acted as a Kshatriya. So being transcendentally situated, they could do so. Yeah, because they transcended these three modes. They are no more on the material platform. They are on the spiritual platform, Shuddha Sattva stage. So they could transform their Swabhava and they could do any seva because of that. But as long as one is on the material platform, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. So because he has a Swabhava per the material mode, because he has some qualities because of which he is driven by that particular guna, so he has to work per that guna and not somebody else's guna. Because initially it may look easy for him to accept that job or whatever thing he's doing. But in the long run, because that is not his Swabhava, he will not be able to do it. He thinks my earlier job was better, but because he is used, because that is his Swabhava. So that is why he thinks my earlier job is better. So Krishna says it is always better to stick to your Swabhava as long as you're on the material platform. Only if you transcend these three modes, then there will be a chance to change your Swabhava, and you can do any kind of seva that time. Okay. So now we are done with the Nishkama Karma Yoga. That concept is over. Now Arjuna, he asked in shloka number 36, he asked Krishna a question, for which from shloka 37 to 43, Krishna gives the answer for what Arjuna asked. But today we will just discuss till shloka 39. Okay, from 40 to 43, and maybe we'll start chapter 4 tomorrow. So we'll do that tomorrow. Okay, so to just try to see till 39, because I didn't want to rush, because I wanted to cover all the topics. I just didn't want to just summarize and just leave it like that. So I thought we'll go in detail, because this is a very, very important topic. Okay, very important topic. So that's why I thought I just stop with shloka number 39 today. Okay. So what is the section 5? It deals with conquering our ultimate enemy, lust. See, all of us are stuck in this material world. Our biggest enemy is lust, because we all have lusty desires, material desires, because of which we are born again and again in this material world. See, if we have no material desires, then there is no scope for us to be born. Why is it that we are born again and again? Because our material desires are not fulfilled. That is why we take birth again and again. Okay, so this we have to understand. And that is why Krishna says the biggest reason is lust. That is why, that is the reason we are getting attached to this material world. Okay, so now let's... okay. See, next now Arjuna asks an important question. Okay, after hearing text 3.34, one may determinedly think, okay, yes, from today onward, I will steadily do my duty and control my attachments and aversions. I will act according to the Shastra. So now you heard, right, what Krishna said? You have to do your duties. You have to control your attachments, your hatred, your anger, everything, and do your duties per the Shastra. So now you all agree to do. But experienced teachers state that, however, Such immediate inspirations may prove difficult to adhere to over time. So Arjuna, being aware of reality, asks the following question. So we all may be fixed now. That okay, now Krishna is saying we have to do our prescribed duties and we should control our attachments. We should not get attached. We should be ours. Everything we follow. But there is something that is pushing us, even though if we don't want to do bad things, sin, but there is some force that is forcing us to perform that activity. So Arjuna is asking, what is that which is impelling us to do? Impelling us to do that bad activity, that sin, even though we don't want to. We know that we are doing sin. We know that it should not be done, but by some force, we are doing it. All of us must have experienced this, right? See, we don't want to do something. We know what we're doing is bad. But at that moment, we get some kind of sense gratification. That is why we are impelled. We know it is bad, but still, there is some force which forces us to do that activity. Okay, Arjuna is asking Krishna, see, even though we know it is sin, why is it that we are forced? Why is it that we become impelled to do such things? So, that is the question Arjuna asks. Let's see what अर्जुन उवाच अथ केन प्रयुक्तो अयं पापं चरति पुरुषः अनिच्छन् अपि वर्ष्णेय बलात् इव नियोजिता. So translation, Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Okay, so now Arjuna is asking, see, why is it that we are forced to do sin even though we don't want to? Okay, we know that is wrong. We are not able to control. But what is that force that still makes us do that? As if by force somebody is making me do that. What is that? Arjuna is asking Krishna. So all of us face the situation many, many times in our life, right? Many, many times we must have faced. Okay, we should not do this. We know that we should not do this. This is not favorable for our bhakti, but still we do it. Right? All of us must have done that, right? We know that we should not do this. Like we should not go out and eat in the restaurant, right? But sometimes we get so attracted that because our friends or our family members, they're going as an outing together or somewhere, we know that we should not eat outside, but still there is something that forces us. Okay, we try to compromise ourselves saying, oh, it's just one time, it's just family time, so it's okay. So we somehow, whatever be the reason, but we are forced to commit to that activity which we know it is wrong, but still we do it. Okay, so we face such situations. So sometimes knowingly, unknowingly, we do sin. Okay, so we can't take that firm decision there. Okay, so why does this happen? So this is a big obstacle on our path to bhakti. So that is what brings us down in bhakti. So in bhakti, we have some do's and don'ts. Only when we follow those do's can we progress in bhakti. But if we do all the don'ts, where we'll fall down in bhakti, right? But how is it that we can stop doing all the sinful activities? Okay, that is what Arjuna is asking Krishna. Okay, that is why, because of this, doing sinful activities, we know we should not do, but still we are compelled by some force to do that sin. So Arjuna is asking how to come out of that and what is it that is causing this to happen. Okay. So in 37, let's see what's the answer. Okay. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, love transforms into lust when a living entity comes in contact with material. Oops, one second. Yeah, this is actually 30. Now this is 37 actually. They've given this before. Okay, so first let me do 37 and let get back to this. Okay. Okay, so 37. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said. So Krishna is giving the reason here. What is the reason? Okay, so first we'll know the reason. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Okay, so now Krishna is telling Arjuna what is the main reason that causes you to do the sin. So it is lust, which is the main reason. So if Krishna is saying this lust is very powerful, okay, this is the reason, lust is the main reason which helps us cause sin. Okay, what happens when the lust is not satisfied? It turns into anger. Okay, if you don't get what you want, it gets satisfied, it turns into anger. Okay, whatever you desire, you don't get it, obviously you get angry, right? So actually, so where is this lust coming from? So in the shloka, it is said that it is coming from born of contact with the material mode of passion. So this lust comes from Rajoguna. Okay. So this lust is our main enemy. So Krishna is telling that. So it is very powerful. So lust is the main obstacle in this material world on our path to bhakti. So Srila Prabhupada tells us from where we get this lust. Okay, so actually pure devotees who are on that spiritual plane, they have only love for Krishna. Their only desire is to serve the Lord. They love the Lord so much, and they will do anything and everything for the Lord. But souls who have come to the material world, okay, they being conditioned, they are attracted to the material objects of this world. Okay, the sense objects, and they are attracted to this body. Okay, so because of coming in contact with material nature, prakriti, and all these objects, material objects, our consciousness becomes degraded. Okay, that love for Krishna changes into lust for material things. Okay, so you saw, right? Prabhupada says in the purport how love for God changes to lust. So that is the main reason. Pure devotees, they have love for Krishna. Okay, whether they are on the spiritual platform or material platform, they are full of love for Krishna. But conditioned souls who are attached to this material things, material sense objects, more into sense gratification, for them, they forget about Krishna. Okay, they don't know anything about Krishna, forget about love for Krishna. So they are so attached to all these material objects that they develop lust for them. So their love for Krishna from the spiritual planet is transformed into lust for material things. Okay, so this lust comes from Rajoguna. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example how milk turns into curd. How does milk turn into curd? You add something sour, right? You add something sour like a tamarind, or you add little bit curd, which is sour, to the milk, it turns into curd. So like that, actually our consciousness is pure. A soul is pure. When we have come from the material world, we are pure. But when we come into this material world, we accept a body, soul accepts a body. Okay, so when we come in contact with Prakriti, okay, our consciousness transforms. Okay, so when we come in contact with this material nature, our love for Krishna transforms into lust for material objects. Okay, like how initially rainwater is pure, right? But when it comes in contact with muddy water, what happens? It becomes muddy. But initially it was pure, right? So like that, even we were pure. When we were pure, pure devotees, we had love for Krishna. But because of some conditioning, we've come to this material world. Then we take this material body, become a material body. So we become conditioned. So we get attached to all this. We forget about Krishna. We get attached more to these material things, sense objects and all sense gratification. And our love for Krishna is transformed into lust for material things. Okay. Now we may think, what is there if we have lust? What is wrong in that? If we satisfy that lusty desire, it will go away, right? So let us satisfy that lust. It will go away. It will not bother us. So let us satisfy it. But that is not possible. You can never satisfy lust. Okay. So what will happen if it is not satisfied? What will happen if desire is not satisfied? It will turn into anger. And what will happen to anger? We've seen that life cycle, right? Anger is transformed into illusion earlier in the chapter or chapters we saw, I think. How that cycle, bewilderment of memory, intelligence is lost, and finally we fall into this material. So you can see this here, right? On the screen. See, when you meditate on the objects, what happens? One develops attachment for them, so which leads them to lust. And from lust comes anger. From anger comes delusion. From delusion comes bewilderment of memory, then loss of intelligence, and then you fall into this gross material in existence. Okay, so this cycle we saw, right? Like that. So we come to all the stages. So, and they say that Prabhupada says in the purport that anger is in the mode of ignorance. See, lust is in the mode of passion. So now we are getting degraded. Like initially, lust is in the mode of passion. So if our desire is not satisfied, we get anger. So we are getting degraded to from mode of passion to mode of ignorance. We are falling further down. Okay, so from Rajoguna, we are falling to Tamoguna. Okay. So we're becoming even lower. But we may think again, see, our lust, if our lust is satisfied, why do we get angry? Okay, so we may have a question. See, if our lust is satisfied, why is it that we get angry? Okay, see, if we have some desire, like for instance, I can give you an example. If our lust is satisfied, why? See, you have a cell phone. It has come newly into the market. Okay, so it's like you are thinking that I have to somehow get that cell phone. Okay, I will be so happy if I get that. That's the latest model craze. Everybody's craving for that phone. Okay, if I get that, you will think that I'll be the happiest person. I don't want anything. That is the last thing on the world I want. And then when you get it, you get it. For the first 2 months, you're happy. From the second month onwards, what will happen? That much happiness as you had initially won't be there. And now what will happen? What will happen now? In the market, there is one more new model which comes. Now he thinks, he thinks, oh no, I should have just waited for 1 more month. I would have got that new model. Now he starts getting frustration. You saw, right? Why, even though our lust is fulfilled, he got that phone, right? But still he's angry now. So lust is not fulfilled. So now he's thinking on frustration, oh no, I should have waited for 1 more month. I would have got that brand new phone. That's the latest model. I did a mistake. Again, like he's in anger. Oh, why did I buy this phone? See? So this is why, even if you satisfy your lust, you get angry. Okay? So that is, this is one example. So why, like even though our lust is satisfied, why does it turn into anger? So one reason we know, we saw here in this chart, right? If we don't get our desires fulfilled, what happens? We get angry. If in the initial stage itself, suppose we ask our mother to buy a cell phone, she says no, obviously you'll get angry. But the second reason could be, okay, your mother buys the phone, but then after 2 months, now that initial happiness is not there with you now. Okay. And then there is another model that comes. Your friends are all crazy about that and they buy that model, but you're not. So you think, array, I should have waited for 1 more month. And then I too would have got this new model. Unnecessarily, I easily got this phone. So again, that leads to frustration. You get angry. You saw the reason, right? So even if you, like your lust is satisfied, you get greedy. You want more and more and more. So if you don't get that more and more and more, you get frustrated, you get angry. Okay, like that. So yeah, I can give you one more example. Like for instance, if you're hungry, okay, and someone, I mean, like, and you go to a temple, and that day maybe there was some festival, and your favorite sweet is rasgulla, okay, and a Prabhuji comes with a full tin of rasgullas. Now your happiness is no bounds, right? Your favorite sweet that too has come, and you're so hungry. It has come in front of you. You will be thinking, so happy. My God, like your happiness is no bounds. So your lust is being satisfied here, right? You are craving for rasgullas. Okay, so you eat the first rasgulla. You are so happy. You are like, it's like you're in heaven. The first rasgulla will taste so blissful. Okay, then you eat second, third, so on till 10th. So then you're like, okay, you get aversion, you get hatred. Oh my God, this is like, even though you want to eat, your stomach is full. You cannot eat more than that. So you get aversion, you get virakti. But still, you have that greed. That greed is there in you. Okay, I don't know when again I'll get a chance to eat so many rasgullas. Okay, I want to eat, but I'm not able to eat. What to do? See, again, in that greed, he's getting frustration, anger. Okay, so that is what they're saying. Okay, so though you get to eat, you can't eat. Okay, so we can never fulfill our lusty desires. So, because our body has some limitations. Okay, it's not like we can, I mean, like all the lusty desires can't be fulfilled because our body has some limitations. Okay, so only to some limit through our body we can satisfy, but fully we cannot satisfy our lusty desires. Okay, so because through lusty desires we can't get happiness. Okay, happiness can be only enjoyed on the spiritual plane, on the spiritual platform. So on the spiritual platform, we don't call it happiness, we call it bliss. So the happiness keeps increasing more and more. Okay, so that is the benefit, right? If it is the same happiness, also we get bored, right? So that is the advantage we have in the spiritual world. The happiness is increasing. I mean, the bliss is increasing day by day. This material happiness is very, very low compared to the spiritual happiness. Okay. And the Prabhupada says in the purport that beyond this material happiness, there is Brahmananda happiness. The happiness that you get when you merge into the Brahman. Okay, so the Mayavadis generally do this, right? They merge into the impersonal Brahman. So the Ananda that these Mayavadis get when they merge into the Brahman is a crore times more than the Ananda that we get on the material platform. So that is why the Mayavadis do all this, right? Otherwise, why will they struggle so much? Why will they do so much of tapasya? Right? So they won't do. Only because they're getting so much of happiness than the material world. That is why they're trying to go into this impersonal Brahman. They want to become Brahmanandi. Okay, so they get that Ananda. And more than this Brahmananda is the spiritual platform, is the spiritual happiness that we get. Okay, this happiness, the spiritual happiness is crore times more than this Brahmanandi happiness. Okay. So that is why, see, Srila Prabhupada says that there is little happiness here in this material world. Very little happiness. But that little happiness only we are satisfied. We think that is enjoyment. Okay. That is why we find the first rasgulla you eat, you get a lot of happiness. So that is the main, what you say, culprit. That is the main culprit that is binding us to this world. So that happiness, see, the first rasgulla you eat, that is the total full happiness that you get. Then later, obviously, as you go on eating that rasgulla, the happiness decreases gradually, and finally, it is totally lost because everything in this world is temporary, it is not permanent. Okay, So that is the reason. Because of that happiness, the happiness that we get in eating the first rasgulla, we get attached to that material enjoyment. Okay, that is why we get attached, because of that lust. Okay, so we get lusty because of rajoguna. Okay, and krodha because of tamoguna. Okay, so that is why we should not get degraded. At least, I mean, like, see, from rajoguna we are coming into anger, and which is converting into mode of ignorance. But if we come in the association of devotees, do spiritual sadhana practice, then there is a chance, instead of degradation, we go from mode of passion, from rajoguna to satoguna. Okay, so that is why we have to do satsanga with those who are in the sattva guna. Okay, so we have to develop, when we do satsanga, we develop sattva habits, good habits. Okay, when we are in satsanga, so how we have to eat, how we have to sleep, how we have to do our recreation, so everything. Okay, so if we change our whole lifestyle such that we can lead our lifestyle in a sattvic way, so then it is very good for us. Okay, so by doing this, we can escape from rajoguna and tamoguna. So it's always better to be in satsang. Any reason, this material world, I mean, like, you see, Satoguna people, only 1% you will find in the whole material world. You will see only 1% are devotees. Remaining 99 are all materialistic persons who want a sense gratification, who don't know the goal of life. They think the goal of life is sense enjoyment, sense gratification. In fact, they show off. They tell, see, I have so many cars, I have so many houses. My house is fully, I mean, like, I have a robot, I have this, I have that. And they tell it proudly. I have so much gold, so much diamonds, so much property. They tell it greatly, but what is the use? You come empty handed, you go empty handed. Why is it that you work so hard for all these things? Okay. So that's why Prabhupada says simple living and high thinking. So you just work hard, so much so that you need to keep your body and soul together. Okay, make this body a best bargain. So because only through this body we can do tapasya and we can go back to God. Okay, if we don't keep this body properly, we cannot do our bhakti, sadhana bhakti, right? So that is why, I mean, like, though we are in this human body, it's a golden opportunity for us to do tapas and go back to Godhead. Okay. And one more point Sri Prabhupada mentions in the purport is that this kama and krodha, how we can change it into, now we are telling them that they are enemies, right? Kama and krodha is the greatest enemy, Krishna is saying. But Srila Prabhupada says in the purport how we can transform these two into our friends. Okay, what can we do? So what we can do is we can engage in the seva of the Lord. This kama and krodha, or anything for that matter, anything, if we engage in the service of the Lord, it is like it becomes our friend. Anything. So be it a typewriter. Prabhupada used the typewriter to type all his scriptures, right? He used aeroplanes to go throughout the world to preach, not for his material comfort, right? So anything that is available in this material world, if we can use it in the seva of the Lord, it is good. So similarly, you use your anger and your, kama in the service of the Lord. Okay. So Prabhupada, he gives an example. So by engaging like that, we get purified. Okay. So now Prabhupada gives us an example of of Hanuman. Okay, how Hanuman, he used his anger in the service of the Lord. He burned the whole of Lanka. Okay, okay, to show his bhakti to Lord Ram, he burned the whole of Lanka. Okay, so here, what is lust actually? Okay, so lust, when we try to satisfy our senses, that is lust, right? Okay, so but when we try to satisfy the senses of the Lord, then we have to convert No, then we have to convert, then it becomes from kama to prema. Okay, that's what they're saying. See, when we try to satisfy our senses, that is lust. But when we try to satisfy the senses of Krishna, that is love. So we do for the sake of Krishna, for satisfying, for pleasing Krishna, that is love. When we do something for ourselves, that is lust. Okay. So now let's go to shloka number 38. So this is also a very important thing, like how we have different degrees of lust. Okay, there are three degrees of lust which we will see how it is covering us. The living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. Okay, so dhumena vriyate vahnir yata darsho malena cha yatol bena vruto garbhas tata tenedam avritam. Okay, so translation, as fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of lust. Okay, so they're saying that similarly, like the three examples, similarly, the living entity is covered by different degrees of lust. Okay, so here we see how lust covers our consciousness. Okay, so there are three degrees of coverings of the living entity. Okay, so here three examples are given. Okay, first example is fire covered by smoke. See, if you see fire, when the fire is burning, you see a little bit of smoke on the fire, right? See, you see here, right? In the picture, smoke, you see the fire on top, right? But you can see fire. Very properly, you can see the fire. Even though you see smoke on top, you can properly see the fire. So there is little layer of covering of dust, very little layer of smoke. So where you can see this fire properly. Okay, so this is one. Um, Covering. So next is dust on the mirror. Okay, so you can see right in the picture, there is a mirror and on the mirror there is dust. Okay, so if there's dust on the mirror, you can't see. There's a thick layer of dust. Can you see your face in the mirror? No, right? Yeah. So that is second layer. So it is more thicker than the covering is more thicker than the first layer. So first layers we saw, right, only a small amount of smoke is there. So the layer of is it's very uh, hardly visible. The whole fire we can see, right? Even though there's smoke, it's very little. But here in the mirror, the dust is very thick. It is, I mean, it may take some hard work for us to remove that dust. Okay. Next, the third one is the embryo in the womb. Okay, we can see, right? The child is, the embryo is within the womb. So now, see, if you take smoke on fire, the smoke covering is very less. See, because we can see, you can clearly see the smoke. Even though there is smoke, we can see the fire very clearly. The smoke layering is very less. If we blow air, okay, the fire becomes bigger. If you blow like this, the fire becomes bigger. Okay, so this consciousness, this kind of consciousness is there in humans, just like how smoke covers fire. Okay, so we can see that the degree of lust is very less here. Compared to other three, we'll see it is easy for us to, in the human birth, it is easy for us to eradicate this lust. Okay, because it is a thin layer of smoke. If we can just remove that layer of lust in a human being, we are free of lust. Okay, so that is what is binding us in this material world. Okay, so next one is like if there's dust on the mirror, obviously if there's a thick layer of dust, we cannot see. But if with some hard work we try to remove that thick layer of dust, then we can see our face on it, right? We can see, but with some effort we can clean the thick layer of dust and we can see. Okay, we'll compare the consciousness later again. And in the third, the embryo is fully covered by the womb. So here we have no chance to remove the covering at all. Okay, see, first by fire, by smoke, we saw we can easily remove the covering because it's small amount of smoke. It's easy. And second, we saw that mirror on the wall. With some hard work, we can remove that layer. But embryo in the womb, we cannot. How can we remove? We can't do anything, right? It is fully protected. So we can't remove that lust. It is the highest level of lust. We cannot do anything. We cannot remove anything from there. We cannot remove the covering at all. Okay. So now we will see that like how in the part4 Prabhupada compares these three to different entities. Okay. So now in the second example is referring to, I mean, like when we are taking the mirror on the wall, I mean the dust on the mirror, when we clean with little hard work. So he's there. Prabhupada is comparing to birds and animals. Okay, so the covering we said, right, is more thick than fire. See, the covering on with fire with smoke is less. Now with on the mirror, the thickness of the dust is more, so it is very hard. So compared to the first example, second example, mirror on the wall is a little bit hard. It's hard actually to then at least, but we can remove. So here they are saying in animals and birds also, it is difficult for us to inculcate Krishna consciousness. It may be possible in rare cases, but it is very difficult because in some rare cases we see elephants in the temple. Sometimes they become Krishna conscious, and they are like very rare cases. There is a chance, but very difficult. Their consciousness, okay. But in the first case, you see fire covered by smoke. Its smoke is very little layer. But if we blow air, that smoke also will go away because the fire will become so big when you blow air into that, it will become even more bigger. So easy to remove our lust. So that is why it is said in the human form, with little faith and little tapas, we can easily remove this covering of lust. Okay, and this embryo in the womb that we are talking about is compared to consciousness of trees. Compared to trees. Okay. Just give me a second. So here first, before we go into that, so we'll discuss about this fire covered by smoke, okay? So the highest consciousness is there in man. So humans, they have a chance, okay? If they practice Krishna consciousness, they can easily remove lust. So just like you can remove smoke on a fire by, we said, right? If you blow air, you can, the fire increases and the layer of smoke can be removed. So there are people like who have little faith, little bhakti. So they are called neophyte devotees who are new to bhakti. Okay, so if we can encourage such devotees, okay, so they can remove that layer of lust. Okay, such people with little faith, little bhakti. So if we can encourage them, like how fire we can increase by blowing air. Okay, so that layer of so that fire increases. So similarly, we can remove that layer of dust. I mean, layer of smoke, or that layer of lust that we have by practicing bhakti, by giving that encouragement to them. Okay, so this is possible only human birth. Okay, so it is not possible for animals. Very rarely for animals, but generally it is not possible for animals or trees. So this is the special benefit that humans have. So those, I mean, like, and this embryo, the child in the womb, embryo in the womb, they is compared to trees. Okay, generally there are some people, who expose their body. They don't cover their body with clothes, so they take birth as trees because their consciousness is filled with so much lust. Okay, so human birth is not possible for them. So those who have low consciousness, okay, they're filled with so much of lust. That is why they have this low consciousness. Okay, so trees have very low consciousness. Okay, that's why they take birth as trees. So we have hope as humans. So if we have little faith, little bhakti, then we can drive away lust. Okay. In other animals and birds and trees, we've seen, right, it is more thick. They're so ignorant. It's very difficult to remove the lust from them. And trees we saw are fully lusty. Okay, and birds and animals we saw, it is with utmost hard work, it is difficult to remove the dust and the mirror. So it is difficult. So you can, I mean, in fact, say not possible. Okay, so only in the human birds it is easily possible for us to remove the lust with some tapasya, some bhakti. Okay, we can drive away lust. Okay, so this is what is given again. So there are 3 degrees of covering obscure pure consciousness of the living entity. So we saw the 3 degrees, right? This covering is but lust unto different manifestations like smoke in the fire, dust on the mirror, and the woman womb about the embryo. So lust is compared. So we've discussed all this actually. So we can actually skip. You can just refer like the dust on the mirror we've seen. So okay, anyway, I'll read. So lust is compared to smoke. It is understood that the fire of the living spark can be a little perceived. In other words, when the living entity exhibits his Krishna consciousness slightly, so that's what we discussed, right? If he's in the neophyte stage, having little bhakti and all that, if we encourage him, he can progress in bhakti. So that little layer of lust can be removed. So this stage is like the beginning of Krishna consciousness. So the dust on the mirror, second stage, refers to a cleansing process of the mirror of the mind by so many spiritual methods. So the best process is to chant the holy names of the Lord. So how can we cleanse our the dirt that is present within us? By the chanting of the internally we can cleanse by chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And the embryo covered by the womb is an analogy illustrating a helpless position. For the child in the womb is so helpless that he cannot even move. So this stage of living condition can be compared to that of trees. See, we know that in the womb the child cannot move. So similarly, the trees also are living entities, but they are put in such a condition that they cannot move, right? And the trees, they are also living entities, but why they have been put in such a condition? Because they have a great amount of lust, right? We said, right, people in their previous janma, they don't like covering their bodies, they don't like wearing clothes. Such people they take birth as because they have so much of lust, they don't cover themselves. So that is why they are born as trees in the next janma. That is why they are considered as low, their consciousness is very low. Okay, the covered mirror is compared to beasts and birds and beasts, and the smoke covered fire sea is compared to the human being. So in the form of human being, the living entity may revive a little Krishna consciousness, and if he makes further development, the fire of spiritual life can be kindled in the human form of life. By careful handling of the smoke in the fire can be made to blaze. Yeah, just if you blow, the fire, it increases, it becomes big in size, right? It can be blazed. Therefore, like how we are blowing air to make it big, and similarly, if you are in your initial stage of Krishna consciousness, somebody encourages you to do bhakti. So that way, it is like you're kindling, you're blowing air, you're giving encouragement to your bhakti. So as you progress in bhakti, that layer of lust will be easily removed. Okay, so therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. So, in the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy, lust, by how? Krishna consciousness under able guidance. Okay, so let's see the last shloka for today. Avritam gnanam etena nani no nitya vairinana kamarupena kaunteya dushpur dushpurnena le nanalena cha. So translation, it is said in the Manusmriti that lust cannot be satisfied by any amount of sense enjoyment, just as fire is never extinguished by a constant supply of fuel. Okay, so we saw, right? And now, previously we said we tried to satisfy lust. And could we satisfy lust? So we thought that, okay, whatever desire we have, if we fulfill it, then, okay, that desire will go away, right? Then let's fulfill it. but we tried fulfilling it. Were we able to fulfill it? Like we saw the cell phone. Were we able to fulfill it? No, right? So here, Krishna is telling, see, lust is our greatest enemy. So it has kept us captive in this material world for many janmas. So if we try to satisfy lust, it is never satisfied. So example, see, now you think that you'll pacify this fire by pouring petrol. Will the fire be pacified? Will it stop? It will become more, the fire will increase more. So if we think we can stop our desires by satisfying them, it is not possible. They will not go away. The more you satisfy, the more lusty you become. It's like the more you put petrol and fire, the more the fire will increase. Okay, so the more you satisfy the lusty desires, the more you get attached to them. Okay, so you cannot stop them. You think you're stopping them. No, you're not stopping them. In fact, you're getting more and more attached to it. The more you try to satisfy the lusty desires, the more you get attached to them. They don't go away. Okay. So because of desires, we get attached to this material world. So there is little happiness in this material world. See, for example, if you go to a desert and you get one drop of water, will your thirst be quenched by that? No, right? Similarly, we get little happiness in this material world, but they think I will get more happiness tomorrow. Okay, they think if I work hard, see, today I don't have money, but if I work hard tomorrow, they think I will get more money. Then if I get more money, I will be happy. So they live in this world of illusion, thinking they will be happy tomorrow. Tomorrow I will get happiness. Tomorrow I will get happiness. Tomorrow I will enjoy. And their life ends like that. With these desires, unfulfilled desires, because of which again they try to take birth again. Okay, so they work more hard. That they will think the happiness. I'll get happiness tomorrow. Tomorrow, just because I don't have money, I'm not happy. But tomorrow I work hard, I will get money. Then I will be happy. So with this future expectation that I'll be happy in the future, they lead this life. They go on in this life. Okay, but as we saw, right, first happiness that you experience is the highest happiness, like the rasgulla. Okay, the first rasgulla is the highest happiness that you get, right? After that, what happens to your happiness? It reduces, it keeps on reducing. But what are we doing? We are thinking tomorrow, if we work hard, we will be happy. But that day, that what you're doing first, that is the highest happiness you get. Even though how much ever you work hard, after you work hard, the next day, it keep on decreasing. It will never increase. Like this rasgulla. First rasgulla that you eat is more flavorful and tasty. And the next it is like decreasing, happiness is decreasing. Similarly, in our material world also, okay, we should try to understand that. Okay. And I've told the example of the cell phone also, right? Initially, when you get the cell phone in the market, you think, okay, I'm the happiest person. But what happens after 2 months? That happiness is reduced. It keeps on reducing. Anything you take in this material world, the first time you get, that is the maximum happiness that you get. After that, it is like reduced. You can't expect that even if you do hard work, the happiness will increase. No. So that is what they're telling. So you can never get permanent happiness here. So it just gives us little happiness here. But finally, it gives frustration and anger. Like we saw, right? After buying that cell phone, for 2 months he uses it, and then it's like, okay, he's not that excited. Then he sees that a new comes into the market and he thinks he gets frustrated now. Oh no, I should have waited for 1 more month. Then I would have got this new model phone. So now, within 2 months, though his lust was satisfied, he started getting frustrated again. So, the more you try to satisfy the lusty desires, you get frustrated, you get angry. Okay, so we'll start today here, and Shloka 40 we'll take from tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. So please, let me know if you have any doubts, please.